We're going to talk to an anti-abortion activist who says he has collected on video damning misconduct, evidence of it, by Planned Parenthood. But the release of those videos, including on this show, has been blocked by a highly political judge. He's going to join us next to explain. Your right to say what you think, which you thought was guaranteed by the Constitution, you thought it was your birthright as an American, it's under attack suddenly from all sides, mostly the left. Big Tech has recently taken the lead in suppressing free expression, but they're not alone. The judiciary also doing its part to muzzle Americans. For years, David Daleiden and the Center for Medical Progress have aggravated the abortion industry by releasing videos that show abortion providers engaged in indefensible practices, like apparently haggling over the price of fetal tissue.
What would you expect for intact tissue? What sort of compensation? What sort of...
Well, why don't you start by telling me what you're used to paying?
Let's just call it choice and end the conversation. Well, that's a clip from an old video, but Daleiden says he could release many more like it. He cannot, though, legally, thanks to a gag order placed by a federal judge and Democratic donor called William Orrick. He says the videos somehow pose a public safety risk. David Daleiden joins us tonight. David, thank you for coming on. We're interested in defending speech because it's under attack. How does a single judge have the right to end your First Amendment right, your constitutional right to freedom of expression?
He doesn't, Tucker, and that's what's so blatantly unconstitutional about the gag order that Judge William Orrick, at the behest of his friends at Planned Parenthood and the National Abortion Federation, has issued against me and the Center for Medical Progress against releasing the further extensive undercover videotapes that we have of top-level Planned Parenthood abortion doctors and executives networking at the National Abortion Federation's annual meetings. These are some of the biggest abortion trade shows in America that happen every single year. And Judge Orrick, for his part, is the founder of a Planned Parenthood clinic in Northern California in San Francisco. He helped open and run and fund this Planned Parenthood clinic for many years before he was a judge, and now he's somehow the judge who is sitting in judgment over these lawsuits brought by Planned Parenthood and their proxies of the National Abortion Federation, trying to shut down my freedom of speech, the freedom of speech of all pro-life Americans, and really of any citizen journalist. These are some of the most damning and incriminating videotapes that we ever recorded undercover, and they're being held back right now by this biased federal judge in San Francisco.
I mean, but let me just say, you're always welcome to play them on this show. Even if I didn't agree with you, though I do, for the record, even if I didn't, we're against censorship, and you have a right to say what you think. How quickly does this judge justify this? How are these videos a public safety threat?
Sure. So what Judge Orrick, basically just borrowing wholesale the really gross and offensive smears from the National Abortion Federation and Planned Parenthood, smearing millions of pro-life Americans across the country, saying that we're violent or saying that we somehow would threaten people. Keep in mind, in the past 3 years, CMP has never released a single videotape that has called for harm to anyone. We call for people to contact their elected representatives and officials to hold Planned Parenthood accountable under the law. Planned Parenthood, for their part, in the past 3 years, has admitted in documents that we now have that none of their abortion doctors are under threat from these videos. None of them have come to any harm because of these videos. And what they're really worried about, Tucker, is they're afraid that when the public sees what these taxpayer-funded abortion doctors are doing behind closed doors and are doing with taxpayer funding to unborn children, the kinds of transactions over body parts, and the other kinds of cover-ups that go on, they're afraid of their business being harmed, and they're afraid of their business being shut down because of the crimes that they engage in.
They're the ones who are committing violence, of course. David, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Come back anytime with those videos.